Salute and welcome to the channel. So in this video, I wanted to give my general impressions of the newly released hero shooter Highguard that was released January 26th, 2026. I played the game. I want to give my thoughts and impressions, but before I do that, I really want to take this opportunity and speak to the controversy that has surrounded this game, which is what you're seeing on your screen right now. This article from GamerRanks that Jeff Keighley, the guy who this is, the person that organizes the Game Awards show, he gave Highguard the Game Awards 2025 finale spot for free. It's fine if you have your favorites. It's fine if you enjoy a particular game, but it's another when you are the main man behind this award show and you're playing favorites. I don't think that's right. I think that really damages your award show. And I'm really curious to know what some of you guys' thoughts are, because as far as I'm concerned, when I look back at 2024, I believe the game Astro Bot won Game of the Year for Sony. I can tell you right now that I called bullshit on that 100%. Now, that's not to say that Astro Bot, I think that's what it's called, is not a good game, but it definitely was not no Game of the Year over some of the contenders that was vying for that award. So I'm already in my mind thinking, okay, this is fucking rigged. So now fast forward a year at that time, we come to 2025 show. And then now we're finding out that this gentleman here, Jeff Keighley, basically just said here to, Wild Light Entertainment, the guys that created Highguard, it said here is the main event slot of my award show. And also, they didn't even have to pay for it. I think we can all agree that there were many other games that should have been in that, what I consider the main event slot of that award show. I think we can all agree to that. And I think we can also agree that under no circumstances is Highguard a Game of the Year contender, nor should it have been a game placed into that final slot the way it was. Now, this does a couple of things. And I don't blame the developer of Highguard this. I actually put the blame to Keighley, because what he did, and I don't know if he is aware of this or not, he essentially put a bullseye on that game's back. I've also seen that people have made they've made the comments of the Highguard developers were radio silent, from like the end of that award show all the way up until now, which is the release of the game. And as someone that is, very knowledgeable on public relations, I think that was 100% the right move for them to do, because Jeff Keighley brought down a whole mass of pressure onto that game. And no matter what those devs said, no matter what they would show, it would not have dissipated all of that. And I believe that the best thing that they did was remain silent. I do know that there are some content creators that feel differently, but I can tell you 100% that they did the right thing. Because what were they going to say? People were already making up their own minds. People, they saw the trailer. I heard that the trailer got ratioed. They really didn't care for the game. And I like to believe that if this game was just shadow dropped, which apparently, just to kind of show this particular article, it says here, and this is from Shack News, when the 2025 Game Awards close with the announcement, yada, yada, yada. Let me see here. I'm trying to skim through this. Okay. Oh, here we go. That's what I'm looking to find. Clearly, the reception was not great. When I asked about the announcement and release strategy for Highguard, we probably made the wrong trailer. or we should have been showing the gameplay loop instead of trying to entertain people. Uh, let's see. However, unlike many have speculated, this was not a strategic play made by the folks at Wildlight Entertainment. In fact, the plan for the months had been to announce Highguard and then shadow drop it immediately after. That was until Jeff Keighley presented them with an irresistible, basically an offer they couldn't refuse. So so basically, so I apologize. I had to kind of skim through it and find the part that I wanted to read. So, the original plan was to shadow drop the game. And I do feel that if they would have went with that particular strategy and the game would have been shadow dropped, I think that the game would have been more accepted. The expectations of the game would not have been what they ended up becoming because of Jeff Keighley's love of the game, because the man really was championing the game. He really believes in the game, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, I believe he could have still done this. He could have still went this route without giving the developers that time slot. For instance, let's just say if they would have done the shadow drop, and then shortly after, Jeff Keighley would take to his social media and say, "Hey guys, fantastic game." Let's say if he would have just put his co-signature on there. I think that could have helped as well. But for him to have gone the way they ended up going, I don't think that was the smart play. Now, as I was going to say earlier, I feel that there were many other titles that could have been in that main event slot for the award show, but what's done is done. I do feel that this, in my opinion, causes more damage to that man's award show going forward, because now we're going to just really know that your award show can be corrupted. Your award show, can play favorites. So if a game is getting a particular award that the vast majority of the audience finds kind of, we have a bunch of question marks that we're scratching our head. Now we're just going to think back to this Highguard situation, say, you know what? Yeah, they probably more than likely paid for that. And then before, with the Astrobot situation, where it was like there really wasn't much proof behind that. Now we can look again back to the Highguard situation, say, yeah, he played favorites. So now I feel with his award show moving forward, I think this could potentially cause a more significant issue moving forward. Let me get to my general thoughts of the game so far, since I finally had a chance to play it. And I don't want to take too much time with this, but I will just say this. I am not a hero shooter fan. I am not necessarily somebody who spends his life playing Apex Legends and games like those. But judging the game off of its gameplay and its performance, I would say that the game is an okay game. It's a solid game. The match that I played was, it performed well. I was playing on my Xbox Series X. I didn't have any crashes. I didn't have any perceivable dropped frames. It wasn't difficult for me to do certain actions in the game. The controls were pretty well. I think I had small critiques. Like, I felt like the running animation could have been a little bit faster, but I think the horseback riding was excellent for me. I really enjoyed that. I think it had I think it had good speed. Maneuverability on the horse was pretty solid. I think everything else is pretty standard fare. It's not like anything that was reinventing the wheel. The gameplay loop was kind of like a mishmash of different titles. Like, the search and destroy aspect that you would see in like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield style game, that type of play, where you're setting the bomb and then you have to defend it from other players trying to deactivate it, and then even before that, you have to get, I guess it's a sword that you place inside of these it's like an input device, and it triggers a battering ram to appear on the screen, and then the battering ram will cause a gap in the enemy's fortress, whereby you go inside and then you go to try to plant the bombs, which is what I was pretty much saying earlier. So the time where you are trying to retrieve the sword that will initiate the battering ram sequence or phase, that gameplay segment reminds me of like a capture the flag kind of deal, where if you have the sword, the opposing team are trying to gun you down, and then if you get gunned down, somebody else can pick up the sword, and then it becomes like this seesaw type of affair until one of whoever, whatever gets the sword and activates the battering ram. So it's a couple of different gameplay styles that has been done before, inspired by other games, and kind of combined into one. I think that if you are not a fan of those types of hero shooters, I don't know if this game is going to win you over. I don't know. But I do think that if you are someone that is interested in those, if you have experience in those type of hero shooters specifically, because the game does have powers. The game has about 8, I believe, characters. I think it was 6 or 8. I think it's 8 characters. Each character has, I think, their own abilities. They have an ultimate ability. So there is some nuance there. There is some gameplay difference with the player abilities where you work together as a team, utilizing your abilities. I think that there is strategy that can be had with a game like this. Especially when you have players that know what they're doing, that they're good at they're good at first person shooters, and they enjoy hero type shooters. I think you can have some pretty exciting matches. Do I think that the game is absolute shit? No, I do not. I've played worse games. But I just feel, to kind of go back to that earlier point, I think Jeff Keighley, again, to harp on this point again, I think him putting this game in that main event slot for that award show, I don't think it helped. And I do think that, again, if it was shadow dropped, which was the original play, I think the game would have been a little bit more, it would have been better received, and it would not have been under the magnifying glass that it is now. But time will tell how this game will, how the lifespan of this game will continue, or maybe it'll die out in another week. I don't know. But personally, my brief time with it, it worked as intended. I didn't have any craziness to happen to the game. I have seen people that made or levied the complaint that the size of the maps are a little bit too large and open for a 3-on-3 style of play. I only played on one map. I believe there's like about 6 maps, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 maps. So I don't know if each map is the same size as the one I played on. But I that could be a fair criticism, and I think that it is one that the developers could address. You know, for something like this, I feel maybe they were limited by their game engine. You know, whatever development game engine they use. Maybe it did not lend itself well to a 5-on-5 situation. I don't know. But I think perhaps a 5-on-5 would be better. But I think it could also be that since you have so few available characters, I think maybe they felt that 3-on-3 was better. I don't know. But I have heard the concerns that, you know, the maps are a little bit too open for a 3-on-3 confrontation. So, you know, we'll see what happens with the game. I'm pretty sure a lot of larger content creators are going to like run these stories into the ground. I will probably play this game every once in a blue moon because, like I said, I'm not really the hero shooter type, but I might screw around with it here and there. And yeah, so anyway, let me know what you think, and I guess that's about it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Anyway, take care. Peace.